8-pound male black bear was found dead near the Current River yesterday. Missouri game officials say fishermen spotted the bear stuck in a root wad about 7 miles south of Van Buren. The bear had no visible injuries and was healthy, but Mark Wilcox with the Conservation Department told our partners at the News Leader that the river was up about a foot, moving quicker than normal. Conservation agents are now investigating the animal's death and trying to figure out what happened. That bear did not have a tracking collar. The Conservation Department has been conducting an ongoing research project on the state's black bears, and their numbers do appear to be growing.
So far up to this point, you've been listening to these stories either in part or skipping to get to what you consider to be the good parts, right? Well, let me say this. The stories that I'm going to share with you, you're going to want to pay attention to all of them. Why, you may ask? Because I said so. Nah, I'm just joking with you and kidding with you, but for real, the reason why you need to listen to these stories in whole is because if you plan to visit a national forest or one of the national parks, wouldn't you want to hear the truth from the insider? A game warden that works in the woods all the time, or as these researchers who spend weekends in the woods like to say, a person with boots on the ground. Listen, let that sink in for a moment and let me share a few things with you. I've been working as a game warden for 10 years, and I never expected to do this for a living. Hell, I don't think anyone grows up saying, I want to be a game warden. I kind of stumbled into doing this job. Came out of high school, real unfocused. My parents wanted me out of the house. I had pretty good grades, but we didn't have any money. So I went out and got this book of scholarships and started applying for every scholarship I could find. And imagine my surprise when Auburn University responded, offering me a full ride to get an environmental science degree. Granted, back then I had no clue what environmental science was. All I knew was I was leaving this small town, getting away from my parents, and I was going to be free. So I ventured off to college, only later to realize that the degree that I got was not the best choice I could have made. Then the job fair happened. I met some game wardens. They sold me on it. Fast forward, I've been working as a game warden for 10 years. Now pause right here for a moment in my story. Let me say this. If you're one of those people who are sitting there saying, get to the point, I want to hear about the encounter. Hurry up. Let me stop you right here, right now. The real question for you is, do you want to listen quickly or do you want to listen slowly? But I'm not a man that rushes anything. Now, there are things that you learn on this job. First aid certification, search and rescue training, firearms use, self-defense. And then there are things that you really learn on this job. Like what it means when crows start swarming, or what it means when you're in the woods, squirrels start barking and then they start running away. Then there's things you learn and you never share. Kind of a code amongst brothers in the woods. Things that I was told that the public didn't need to know. And if I'm being honest and truthful with you, I fell in line with the whole brainwashing process. There's things that go on in the parks and national forests that the public don't need to know. You see, I thought it was the right thing to do. But based on some of the things I've seen, no, it's not right. So I decided I'm going to start telling. Now, as it pertains to what everybody likes to call a dogman, I'll use that term for the sake of the story. They're not always dangerous. But what you need to understand when dealing with them is it's important to understand what season you're in. If you find yourself out in the woods during mating season or birthing season, listen, you might want to go ahead on and get up out of there. Now, I can only speak for what I've seen myself, not for any other game wardens that I work with. But here's what I experienced. First of all, if you're looking for these creatures, the fastest way to get yourself killed or taken is going where no one else goes, especially going places where no one else can hunt. That's where I first learned that Dogman mating season is a mixture of monster MMA and like a cryptid rock concert with some of the scariest noises you'll ever hear. This all started for me when we were tracking the black bear population. Now, how was that done? By hunting them down and tagging them. Yep, it was my job to track down black bears, then manage to get away. Imagine the scene. It was while hunting and tracking down black bears that I mistook a dogman for just an extra large bear. It was down on all fours. I took a shot at it. Then it stood up, turned around, and looked at me like, "What is your damn problem, sir?" I mean, it legit looked at me like, "Have you lost your mind? What are you doing?" It pulls that dart out, throws it on the ground, and starts to walk in my direction like, "I'm finna eat you alive." Now, you can call it luck, but I prefer to call it divine intervention As this thing is walking towards me, I watch its right ear twitch and turn a little bit. Then it turns its head and listens like it's hearing something that I can't hear, turns around, drops down on all fours, and takes off running in the other direction. Now, mind you, this is why I call this divine intervention. Understand, in order to get to the spot that I was in, I had rode my four-wheeler up a trail, got off that four-wheeler, and walked a mile deep into the woods. So in order for me to escape this Dogman, I would have had to run a mile back to the four-wheeler, get on the four-wheeler, then travel 5 miles to get out of the area that I was in. Understand, those were the circumstances surrounding my very first time seeing Dogman, and it scared the living hell out of me.